It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we're going to be taking a look at a brand new beer. I think it's a brand new beer in Aldi, although I haven't been in Aldi for about 6 weeks, so it might have popped in the last 6 weeks or so. So this is called Beer Mille sime, and it's a Cuve Exceptionnelle, Brasserie De Noir in France. It is a 750ml cork and cage bottle, 5.5% ABV. What's special about this beer is the fact that it's a dry hop beer. It was £2.50 as well, which for the 5.5% 750ml bottle is not bad at all. I have had the other beer in this range from Aldi and it was rather good. I quite liked it. Always a little bit wary. I had one of these corks blow on me once. Boom! It's not too bad, is it? Yeah, I was in a bottle shop in Cardiff on one of these. Well, poof! The moment I took the cage off, it just blew up everywhere. And it was like a shotgun going off, honestly. Anyway. So dry hopping, I tell you what, we'll get into dry hopping and all of that kind of stuff later on in the review. Let's concentrate on the look of the beer for now. Then we got a 2 to 3 finger white head. Good levels of slow moving carbonation. It's a golden amber coloured beer. Quite clear to look at this stage. Looks rather nice. Beer looks well behaved as it's rolled round in the glass. Let's get the aroma. Doesn't look too thin for 5.5%. Yeah, definitely dry hopped. But it won't be dry hopped. I mean, I promise I'll get into dry hopping in a moment. I want to taste the beer and talk a little bit about the beer first. But for the experienced people who tune into this channel, the experienced beer drinkers, it's not dry hopped like American dry hopped beer. It's more like a Belgian hopped, French hopped beer. There's an element of sweetness coming through it. It's almost coming through like a hoppy Belgian blonde. Stinging nettle and spiciness, and yeah, it smells good. Let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. It's very pleasant. It's very pleasant for that £2.50 price point. It's quite relatively cheap, isn't it? £2.50 for a 750ml beer. It's not overly sweet. In fact, it's kind of making its way to being a drier beer than a sweet beer. It has nice balance with the malt coming through to begin with. It is spicy, it is peppery. Dry hopped. Yeah, there's a nice bitterness on the back end. It's coming through as a slight kind of lemony flavour. Very spicy and peppery from the hops. Stinging nettle would be the correct phrase to use for this beer. I've been drinking a lot of German beer recently with the advent calendar that I picked up, and some Belgian beer, and now a French beer. And what you find with these traditional European hops is that they are spicy and peppery and taste a little bit like stinging nettle. So forgive me if some of these reviews lately have all kind of slightly sounded the same, but in truth, if a brewer or you're reviewing traditional European beer, then you're going to get them flavours coming through. It's very kind of, they're transparent flavours. They're what the Europeans want to drink and like to drink. Right, dry hopping. Dry hopping. Let's talk to you about dry hopping. Right. If you're new to beer, the important thing that the brewery likes to emphasise here is that it's a dry hopped beer. That means when the beer hits the fermenter, when it's fermenting away, the brewer will add hops to the beer. So you're picking up more flavour rather than like a bitterness if they were to throw hops in the boiling process. Now, if you're new to beer, you might have an understanding now of what I'm saying. You have two choices with hops. You can either put them in the fermenter where you get flavour, or like I like to add a little bit of milk to my tea before I pour the boiling water in. That for me gives off more flavour in the tea, rather than if you were to pour boiling hot water on the tea, you get a little bit of that kind of astringency coming through. It's a similar thing. If you add hops to the boiling process, you're picking up that bitter astringency from chucking them in at such a high temperature. You let the beer cool down and you put the hops in where the beer's fermenting. It's more of a slow release of flavour, and there's next to no astringency, or in beer's case, bitterness coming through. So that's my very simple kind of way of explaining dry hopping. It's a good beer, this, especially for the price point. I don't think it's going to be a bottle conditioned beer. What we could do is grab a glass and we can see if it is indeed a bottle conditioned beer. No. If it was a bottle conditioned beer, this would be really hazy, but as you can see, it's exactly the same as the other glass of liquid there. Right, rating. Cuve Exceptionnelle, a premium dry hop French beer brewed using only premium ingredients. They've used the word premium twice in one sentence. They must, they must be a premium beer. This method gives this beer a refreshing, clean and dry flavour. It is dry. It is a dry beer. I like it. I do like it. For the £2.50 price point, you've got a cork and a caged beer. Looks a little bit special. It's probably a cheap Christmas present for somebody. If they don't shop in Aldi, they're not going to know the difference. It looks like maybe an £8 or £9 bottle of beer from a local bottle shop, or you know. So you might get away with, if you've got a rich uncle who doesn't shop in Aldi, you might get away with passing that off as something a bit more expensive than what it is for a Christmas present. But rating for me, for the £2.50 price, but I think there's plenty of flavour going on there. It's a pretty decent beer. It could be a little bit more bitter if I was being slightly critical. It could be a little bit more dry hopped, but you're only going to get so much dry hopping for your money because dry hopping is expensive. Hops are expensive. So I like this beer enough to give it. It's a pleasant beer for 5.5% ABV. I like it enough to give it, yeah, a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box, subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews, give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom! Cheers.